Currently, I would say that Ghana-China relationship is on the move, on a positive move for that matter. Things are looking bright because relationship almost stalled during the previous administration. But currently with the policy His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has brought up economic diplomacy. The Chinese are more experienced in that field, and they see Ghana as a long-time friend from the time of Chairman Mao and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The friendship has been thriving to date. So yes, they see it as a new page in our relationship, and they are very willing to cooperate with us to take it up, and we are doing our very best to make that happen.
I'm curious, when you say that our relationship stalled in the past administration, I remember we had some challenges with the CDD loan, the second tranche of it. So what caused this stalling?
Well, without really going into specifics, diplomacy is all about communication, a two-way communication in clear terms. So where communication isn't optimum, then you'd end up having stalled relationship. You understand? So we know that the communication between our government and the Chinese government in the previous administration wasn't the very best. Probably due to differences in opinion, due to probably inability to communicate in clear terms and so on and so forth. So there wasn't that general understanding as we're witnessing now. And from the look of things, if we go in this direction where we're going to be open with them, we let them know that, look, these are our cards on the table. Put your cards on the table. I believe things will go very, very well. And I mean, when you look at the team His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has sent to China, we've got business people. Our ambassador is an astute businessman. Myself, having lived and worked within the environment, I happen to know more about the system too. So when we combine these two, the politics of it, politics of NPP in the background, coupled with the knowledge of the system, and of course that of the ambassador, the business acumen, and the team there. We've got a solid team, I must say. When we put all together, everything becomes very concise in terms of communication, in terms of dealing with them. So they see a new page in Ghana-China relationship, and everybody is interested in new stuffs, especially if they are beneficial stuffs. Yeah, so that's.
So what is this new page? What is our strategy going forward?
Economic diplomacy, like you rightly said. The Ghana embassy in Beijing has just one main mission: economic diplomacy. So we have to do everything. We've shifted from the political diplomacy to economic diplomacy, because at this stage, really, in world economics, it's about leveraging what you've got to get what you need done. And that's what we're trying to do. Ghana embassy in Beijing is working towards tapping into the potentials the Chinese have, tapping into the expertise in terms of industrialization, tapping into their financial resources to help build our economy, to help shore up things, to help beef up our economy, so that at the end of the day, His Excellency's vision of having an industrialized Ghana by the end of his first term in office will be a reality.
So how are we going to tap into this expertise and what you've named so far?
Very well. It's about knowing your clear aims. For instance, one of our major flagship programs is the One District, One Factory. And His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has made it very clear that he intends turning around the economy, making it an industrial economy. For that to happen, obviously, you need to manufacture, you need to move from the system where you import everything you need in your country to a system where you start manufacturing and exporting. That in itself will create more jobs. And to do that, you don't just get up and say, I'm going to export. You need to have the expertise, you need to have the financial muscles, you need to have things in place. Now, when you look around, you see that China is one country that has been able to turn around the economy in less than 4 decades. They've been able to move things around and now they have surplus in terms of production capacity. So the president is of the view that yes, this is a story we can learn from. This is a partner we can really work with and derive some benefits. So basically, our mission is simple. Tap into the expertise, i.e. the one district, one factory. What can you get from them? What can you learn from them? How is it done? And I'm glad to say that we are on the right path. The Chinese are happy about it. They are very willing to help us. But of course, the good book even says, heaven helps those who help themselves. So we have to be ready to help ourselves. For anyone to come on board to help us, you don't just fold your arms and say that, look, I'm in need of help, come help me. You start doing something. So we are very much on track. The one district, one factory has been launched. Factories are setting up. I mean,
you understand the Chinese government wants to give us some 2 billion into that initiative?
Yes, of course. It's all about, you see, when you prioritize, then you know where you have your own resources, where you have shortfalls. Then you look around, who are your potential partners? Who are the people who can really listen to you and help you genuinely? Then you approach these people with your cards on the table. That way, you are likely to get the benefits you want. And I'm happy to say that it's exactly what our Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia did when he recently visited China at the invitation of his counterpart, the Chinese Vice President.
One difficulty that we have had, and I would have to do this, the heaven helps those who help themselves. It was said by St. Augustine, it was not biblical. I'd have to educate our viewers. But then the point was well made. One difficulty that comes in when foreign investors come, putting money into the system, is that is Ghana gaining the best from a deal like this? So for instance, what will be the balance of power when it comes to the factory on the ground? Are we making sure our workers are going to be hired? Are we making sure that we're going to get the right tax revenue? Are we looking at all these areas?
Thank you very much. And thanks for the education there. It's very good, yeah. Well, you see, the point is that we want to do something. We have the base, we have human resource in Ghana, but we need to step it up in terms of specific skills for specific manufacturing sectors and so on and so forth. They have it in abundance. They've done it over and over again, and now they have excess capacity. So one of the things we're looking at in terms of partnership is to get them to give us the technology transfer. By partnering them, you know, mind you, this whole thing is private sector driven. The government is laying the policies on the ground, preferential, you know, policies that would make it easier for an individual to get up and say, Jack, I want to do a business, I want to have a factory. Then you tap into it. Then by these arrangements, government is making it easier for an individual to say partner a Chinese individual, or for an individual to tap into the resource pool of the Chinese to set it up. So yes, we are not saying the Chinese are coming to set up the factories, run the factories, bring their own labor. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that this policy is aimed at the private sector, largely Ghanaian. But of course, you can't have it from the beginning being all 100% Ghanaian, because we lack certain expertise, which we need to bring from outside. And these people coming from outside obviously wouldn't be Ghanaians. So much as we're looking at 100%, you know, Ghanaian-driven sector going forward, in the initial stages, it wouldn't be 100%. You would have some expatriates coming over, not only from China, from all over the world, because this policy has generated interest from all around the globe. You would have foreigners coming in to partner Ghanaians, and we are looking at the technology transfer. But when it comes to the labor pool, of course, our laws are clear. You need to have enough local content. Even if you're an expatriate company, 100% foreign owned, you still have to get some local content. So yes, Ghanaians, the job creation is going to be for Ghanaians. The masses are going to be employed. Then, with time, we get the technology transferred from these expats to...
Yeah, because it's an important addition there, because if you look at the oil industry, for instance, it does have a local content policy, but there are a lot of complaints within the sector on the ground that yes, there are locals here, but if you look at the level at which they work, if you look at the comparison of remuneration, you realize that there is a lot that could be done. So that's something that we could look into going forward. But we've spoken a bit about the industrialization policy of Ghana. What are some of the areas or the other areas that we are looking at tapping into this Chinese expertise to support locally?
Well, what you've said is quite broad. I mean, industrialization, it cuts across. It's the manufacturing, the technical aspect. It also has to do with the service delivery and all that. Maybe to break it down a bit, yes, of course, the technical aspect, we have these people coming in with their technology, equipment, and so on and so forth. They're going to be operating this equipment with Ghanaian partners, Ghanaian technicians. With time, these Ghanaians will get the technology. They'll be able to do it on their own. So obviously, we're looking at technology transfer. Now, when it comes to the service aspect of it, you need to train people. You need to whip up, the interest in people to really open themselves, make themselves available to imbibe the positive aspects of services. Because you can't just be producing and then there wouldn't be servicing. That becomes a problem. It wouldn't flow. So the whole value chain, we're looking at tapping into advanced friends. Advanced in the sense that they have done it, they've crossed the path where we currently find ourselves, and they've learned the loopholes and so on and so forth. So we can learn from them without necessarily falling into these loopholes and then learning from experience. They have gone through it. So we sit down and talk to them, look, you did industrialization some 40 years ago. How did you do it? Well, did you look at the issue of pollution? How did you resolve it? This and that and that. So by partnering them, we get to learn and avoid certain pitfalls, and that would really spur us on. And to be very honest with you, if this partnership should go very well, we wouldn't need 40 years to turn our economy around. Our economy will be shortened. It would be turned around in a faster pace.
We certainly hope so.
Yeah.
We certainly hope so. But even apart from that broad sector, are there any other sectors that we are looking at targeting Chinese support into? I mean, if you look at the general economy of Ghana.
Well, our president is very clear in his mind. He has said that development requires development partners. Partners in development, not people who see us as we are people who just want aid, so always come with a cup in hand to get aid. No, we want genuine partners who will see Ghana as a country with all the potentials, and that would move along in a mutually beneficial manner. Having said that, when we talk of these development partners, we don't restrict ourselves to one sector. Our economy is open to all. If you're an individual, a foreigner, an investor, you want to invest in our financial sector, the rules are there. You come, you engage the Bank of Ghana. Once you meet the requirements, it's open to you. If you want to engage in the pharmaceutical sector, what have you, agricultural sector, it's open. So we are looking at a broad thing, not just something in terms of manufacturing. Of course, that is the flagship program. But with that, you realize that a lot of people making inquiries at the Ghana mission in Beijing, they are not just asking of one district, one factory. That has generated their interest. That brings them to the mission to make inquiries. But when they get there, they make inquiries on a broad range of things. Some are interested in the education sector, how they could set up schools, for instance, colleges, and so on and so forth. Others are interested in the agricultural sector. Others are interested in the financial sector, and so tourism sector, and so on and so forth. So the idea is that this 1D, 1F project is to serve as the catalyst to put Ghana on the map. And I'm happy to say that we are almost there. We are about 80% there, because already the buzz has been generated and everybody is looking at Ghana. What can I do in Ghana? Because we have the right atmosphere for business. Yeah.
So it's basically down to the preference of the private investors themselves.
Exactly so. Exactly so. And yes, we want the development to be uniform, not concentrated in Accra or Kumasi or Tema. That is why the focus is on the district, at the district level. One district, one factory. So that at the end of the day, when we're talking of factories all over the country, no district will be left out. When that happens, the development becomes uniform. Of course, there will be an aggregation in some districts more than other districts, but every district will have at least a factory that would employ the masses in that particular district.
So do we have a number already who are on the table?
Oh, I must be very honest with you. The last time, I don't have the current figures, but the last time I checked, every district had a huge volume of applications, as in expression of interest in setting up one thing or the other. And of course, as with an MPP government, we are very meticulous when it comes to these things. We have to, not just that because we want to put something out there, once we get the application, we'll put it out. We have to go into it, do pre-feasibility studies and then feasibility studies, do the costing and all that before we go and launch whatever factory or whatever it is. So yes, a lot of things are going on at the 1D, 1F Secretariat and then the Ministry of Trade. They are doing a lot of work. A lot of people have expressed interest. Some are at various stages of, you know, coming out live and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's very wide.
It seems like there's a lot of Chinese interest in the 1D, 1F project. It seems to be coming up a lot in our conversation. Now, when it comes to China and industrialization, we have some experience already. There's this factory in the western region called Wankang Ceramics, and some issues have come up with their relations with labor in the past few years, where workers have had a cause to complain about their welfare issues. That is an industrial atmosphere, and that is an example of some of the issues that could come up there. In your dealings with these businessmen, what are the conversations going on in that direction, how the average worker would feel?
Well, thank you. You see, the point is that we believe in systems working. Much as we would want to bring in investors, encourage Chinese investment in Ghana and so on and so forth, we would also want to insist on our laws working. We have labor laws. We have officers who are charged to ensure that labor laws are implemented. We do not want a situation where, because we're doing our best to bring in the investors, then officers will just fold their arms and say, oh, okay, this one, we'll let it pass. Where labor laws have been infringed upon, would kindly ask such people to sit up. Make sure we implement the laws. If our labor laws do not allow ordinary laborers to be brought in from outside as expatriates, why allow it to happen? I mean, this is not an issue we need to bring the president from the presidency to resolve. There are officers who are paid by the state to ensure that that happens. And I'd like to use this opportunity to let them know that, look, we are doing our best to bring in the investors. We are doing our very best to make sure these investors have the pure intent and so on and so forth. But of course, they are also businessmen. They would seek to cut corners one way or the other. It is on us to ensure that whoever comes into our country plays by our rules. For when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. So if our laws do not allow bringing in expatriate labor in certain fields, don't allow them. Let them play by the rules, because right from day one when they approach us to know about it, we tell them, yes, we have these wonderful policies and all that, but you are subject to the laws of the Republic of Ghana. By taking advantage of the 1D, 1F, you are not operating under a different set of laws. We all operate under the same set of laws, the Ghanaian laws. So you have to respect them. And everyone we've met is willing to go by it.
But you see, Dr. DWAMENA, the challenge often is that people are able to find their allies in the system. And that's why I'm asking you this, because it's often the people who bring them into the system who we have to ask these questions to. So how is it that a businessman comes into the country and all of a sudden he feels like he's able to flout the law with abandon?
That's a situation we all have to work hard at, correcting, because when we do our bit by marketing Ghana, marketing the policies of Ghana, attracting the needed investment, and they come over, they get to the various MMDAs to go through the registration and all that, we expect the MMDAs to take it up and do the necessary things. We also expect the system to work. And you see, the point is, individuals charged with responsibilities of ensuring that laws are, implemented properly, to not have to relax. The fact that we are actively promoting 1D, 1F does not mean that the law should be suspended. That I would like to make clear to everyone, because we will be in China. Yes, we do continuous follow-up and all that, but we are not on the ground here. Our mandate is to drive in the volume, good investors, people with pure intention, people who have no intention of flouting our rules. Once they come in, there's a different set of systems in place here to ensure that they go through the normal processes. It's teamwork. One bit does the work, the other bit has to uphold it and ensure proper implementation. Other than that, we would have a situation that would go out of hand. But one thing I can assure you is that our president is very keen on ensuring that systems work in Ghana. At least that bit he's demonstrated beyond doubt that he will ensure happens. And we are going to see a situation where all those people who flout rules and regulations, or who find loopholes in the system and take undue advantage of them, will find themselves wanting, because we are plugging all these loopholes in these systems.